At the time of recording, FBC Firebreak is a little under a week old.
How old are you?
On the surface, FBC Firebreak is a simple game. A live service horde shooter set in the Control universe. But we'll actually need extra context before getting into this one. Because when you dig a little deeper, you find a business decision masquerading as a video game. Remedy Entertainment is a studio that has made most of my favorite video games. Max Payne.
Oh, this guy's cute. Hope nothing bad happens to him or the rest of his family.
The Alan Wakes.
Man, I don't want to talk your bitch.
And Control.
Tom Holland. Man, what the fuck?
They make single-player games with great gameplay that always put the characters and story first. This is not that. This is a spin-off game made between larger titles to recuperate their profits, and you can tell. Remedy puts out one huge game every 4 or 5 years, and those games usually sell well, but that doesn't maximize their potential. At least not financially. Alan Wake 2 launched in October 2023 as an Epic Games exclusive. This publishing deal was intended for Remedy to make more money from their game. Instead, it had 2 huge drawbacks. For one thing, the Epic Game Store sucks big fucking balls, and PC players tend to avoid Suckballs Mountain if they can. The other drawback is that Alan Wake 2 didn't get a physical release on consoles. As a result, Alan Wake 2 took longer than it should have to make a profit, finally getting profitable over a year after it launched. They were also helped along by a $15 million deal from Tencent.
That's great, thanks.
These are just business operations, and I understand that. I'm not trying to be up in their business, literally. But I want to help paint a clearer picture of why Remedy felt they had to do this. This is the big picture stuff that's meant to keep the lights on. Outside all that, I've been excited for the co-op Control game since the premise released 3 years ago. So after all that is said and done, was this game worth the hype? Fuck no. Nothing could have matched up to the hype that this game had. Control came out swinging in 2018, and since then, it's been on every sale known to man. Even Pope Francis owned a copy. People are extremely familiar with this franchise. The simple premise of an SCP game set in the Alan Wake universe was so enticing that I had to complete it twice. Okay, 3 times. I would have considered FBC Firebreak a success if I loved it even half as much. Everything I like about this game is a holdover from Control. I understand this is a spin-off, but I would expect it to at least be able to stand up on its own, just like Control did from Alan Wake. We only knew a few things before the gameplay review. We knew it would be first-person, multiplayer-focused, and you'd be playing as a government soldier fighting back the hiss and protecting the oldest house. Before you spend $40 on this shot in the dark, let me tell you if it's... After taking the food from your wife's mouth to buy it, FBC Firebreak opens in the oldest house with your character staring at you, waiting to be dressed up. There are a few tutorials here to get you comfortable with the game's mechanics. Nothing to write home about, but they're guided by a charming yet awkward host named Jerry. The tutorial actually makes up a good chunk of the game's content. You'll see. Jerry wants to be punk rock, but his name is Jerry, and he works at the Federal Bureau of Control. He's accompanied by his boss, Hank, who keeps him humble. The first thing you'll notice is that the voice acting and presentation of this game are fantastic.
Have you considered instituting some sort of dress code?
No,
I could draw up some potential guidelines if you like.
please don't.
Hank and Jerry bicker in the lobby. You get the sense they've known each other for a long time, which makes the oldest house feel lived in, like an actual government agency where people stick around for a long time. Well,
They got me.
as long as they can. This is the same exact engine as Control, except in first person now, so we can admire the finer details. The sounds are punchy, and the weapons are satisfying as hell. It feels decent to play. The game runs nicely too. The environments are lifted 1-to-1, but the attention to detail makes it a non-issue. The same brutalist architecture hits different when you can just look up and stare at the ceilings above you. The wide open space here reminds me of playing Among Us VR, looking up at the high ceilings of the Skeld that we've all been exploring since 2020. The space I've spent so much time in suddenly feels real. On everybody's soul, we've all experienced this. There are confidential files left everywhere by employees turned hiss, decorations on the walls, and office supplies strewn everywhere after something happened here. The vibe is immaculate, and it's eerie. You're probably wondering why I can't just recommend this game. Well, buckle up. FBC Firebreak is a game of contradictions.
Time to hear you sing.
Just got a drop on his flexing neighbor. He from Tennessee, I got a thought. She be with the shit. She told me where he be. I said for sure.
This font can make anything look cool. Firebreak has 5 jobs with 3 missions each. The first 2 missions in any job can be done in 5 to 8 minutes. Playing with my friends, we beat all of them in under an hour, and we collectively asked, "Is that it?" Yes, that is it. It's unfortunate because even the game's UI seems insecure about that fact. Fuck going on over here? The most frustrating thing about this game's jobs is the build-up to nothing. Drop into the map, kill, complete a simple objective, kill more, and leave. That's it. I understand that the short missions were an intentional gameplay choice, but that doesn't make them feel any better to play. You can usually do the job and get out of there solo. Having a team of good players trivializes the objective and the hiss at the same time. At launch, when you beat the first and second missions of each job, you actually didn't unlock the third. Why? Why make me replay your already limited content before I can see any new stuff? The third mission is always a combination of the first 2, with an extra room at the end, with gimmicks ranging from unreadable to unplayable. This structure is meant to encourage team play, but in actuality, it just means pausing your chores to shoot at the hiss, and then going back to work. That's what this game feels like. Work. Here's FBC Firebreak on extreme difficulty.
I feel like I'm Gucci Mane in 2006. All these diamonds dancing on my fucking neck cost like 4 bricks. Ain't no way that I be toting on that strap, don't make no sense. He a $1 million neighbor, but be posted in on bricks. Yeah, it don't make no sense. Nah, it don't make no sense. No, don't make no sense. Goddamn, don't make no sense. I don't make no sense. Nah, I don't make no sense. Hey, young boy, don't make no sense. Nah, I don't make no sense.
Did you enjoy that? Would you want to play that? But the enemies are stupid and lifeless. They run at you in a straight line, and all dodge in the same direction at the same time. There's also only one boss in the entire game. I don't count special NPCs because they're a cakewalk. Sticky Ricky, the game's only boss, is a pretty good time if you're playing with friends. If not, you're in for a world of pain. I can understand that in a game with 5 to 8 minute missions, communication might not be the most important thing. However, level 3 missions are usually 15 to 20 minutes with a good team, so imagine the pain of trying to wrangle together 2 randos with 4 voice lines and a ping. Fighting Sticketh Ricketh with 2 Helen Keller impersonators took years off my life. He's in the middle of the arena with water and electric panels on either side of him. You have to get the water and electricity running at the same time, and he'll fall over so you can damage him. Ricky isn't dumb, so he breaks the wires and pipes that we need to break him. Me, with the fix kit, I was just making sure that everything was in tip-top shape and suppressing the horde. The other 2 just kept trying to shoot Ricky. I went back to the lobby because Dr. Darling didn't die for this.
I'm Dr. Casper Darling, and I exposed myself.
The first couple hours of missions are a complete slog, at least until you reach the mid-game. That's when you unlock corruptions that will change your game via altered items spawning into your lobbies. These items add randomization, and are honestly, this game at its peak, exactly what I expected it to be. The late game, once you've unlocked all the corruptions, is good, but not as good, because by then, you're ready to clock out. As far as loadouts go, you have 3 kits to choose from right off the bat. The fix kit starts with a wrench to beat items into submission, instead of doing a QTE every time you want to fix something. This is the support or objective-based playstyle. It comes with a turret that you deploy by beating the shit out of it. Good stuff. There's the jump kit with a huge electric gun, great for setting up traps and thinning out hordes. This is focused on crowd control and starting up objectives. It's the most tactical playstyle. Then we have the splash kit for little bitch babies. The big water gun that comes with it is generally fine, but it's a support class meant to put out fires I can jump over or push back enemies I can one-tap with my revolver. It doesn't make much sense. Ideally, splash and jump work together to wet the enemies, pause, and then shock them for massive damage. But every random splash player in my 8 hours of game time has just run off on their own. They also have a healing mechanic, but don't worry, no random splash player ever used this for you. I'm recording this now, and I realize I should probably just play the class myself. You can have one of each class, or all choose one if you prefer. If you die, you get to change classes, perks, and weapons. Seems fair. The gunplay in this game is extremely satisfying to a fault.
The fuck?
It's satisfying, but extremely generic, and that's the last thing I expected to say about a Remedy game. The starting revolver is the most powerful weapon in the entire game. You can delete most enemies with one-shot. Headshots are too easy to get. It's too easy to turn the chair guys into cuck chair guys. It's only in later levels and chaos levels that stronger hiss enemies start to arrive. The hiss charged are my favorite unit in the entire game. They're suicide bombers that take over your position and force you to think strategically. My other favorite enemies are the big melee guys with the hiss soldiers growing out of their backs. That's their big red weak spot. These are the only enemies that require one or more players to turn around and think before they shoot. Or as I used to call it, team play. Shoot any enemy with any gun and you'll delete them in 1 or 2 hits. Even mini bosses only take 4 or 5. The gunplay's fun in a way that invokes an accidental power fantasy. You're a grunt and an agency that loses people to natural disasters every single day. Why is it so easy to strafe and shoot? Most missions have zip lines that you can go back and forth between to confuse the enemy's AI. Now they don't know what to do. I haven't seen anybody talk about the fact that Firebreak is just not hard. I played through everything in this game on extreme difficulty because I'm a capital G gamer. At its worst, this game is a rush through segments of one-tap enemies and melee guys you can just duck under. Depending on the job, the environmental effects may make the game better or worse for you. I was playing with my friends on part 3 of a job where we have to clear goo out of the oldest house. What we didn't account for was the pink goo clogging up our doorways and respawning enemies and pinning us down inside one of FBC Firebreak's many safe houses. We were trapped in here for upwards of 10 minutes and it felt more like a glitch than anything. On the flip side, there was a segment where I was being chased by Ricky's disciples and his soldiers at the same time. The aforementioned big guy with the stick was chasing me, but I had sticky notes all over my face, so I blindly had to try and turn around and kite him so I could shoot his weak spot. The suspense was incredible as I tried to get my bearings, my ammo, and the shot. More like this, please. Cook. I understand that balancing a horde shooter, especially a live service, is complicated. But there has to be a middle ground between overwhelmed and bored. It's hard for me to gush about the gameplay too long when 99% of my recording looks like this. At its best, FBC Firebreak is having to claw your way out of a sticky situation. At its worst, it's walk backwards and shoot. I take issue with the fact that friendly fire does more damage than any of the enemies, even the heavy grenade launcher guys. These enemies are lifted from control, and quite honestly, they're stupid now. If you do get injured, water is your best friend. Sprinklers, sinks, you can even take a shower to heal yourself. There's an achievement for getting wet with the homies. Pause. The starting revolver wouldn't be so powerful if it didn't work at any range. There's no reason to pick anything else until you unlock the bolt-action rifle in the battle pass. Look at the damage of a machine gun versus a revolver. This is ridiculous. And by the way, aiming down sights just doesn't matter. You can get headshots either way. Every automatic weapon is kind of like the machine gun in that it's underpowered as hell, and you should just stick to the revolver. When you interact with ammo boxes, you kind of just up and grab them, like that gumball bit where he's hyped up on candy and he's attacking people on the street. It's pretty awesome. In general, I just love the way they let you interact with stuff, pressing Q and E in a series of QuickTime events. The way we go about our chores in this game is one of the most fun things about it, which is how I know the bar is digging its own grave. FBC Firebreak's primary battle pass is completely free, with extra cosmetics costing $10. I like some of the paid battle pass skins, but not enough to spend more money than I already have. I honestly don't know who this is for, because I'm exactly the kind of diehard fan that they made this stuff for, and I don't want it. I had a pretty big issue with the battle pass at launch, but they fortunately fixed it in their first 3-day patch. If you wanted to upgrade your guns and get to the new stuff, you had to spend a certain amount of points on cosmetic items before you could reach the next battle pass page. It's pretty standard, but it was frustrating, especially for this game, because I don't want the cosmetics. It's a first-person game. The free battle pass is split into 2, guns and cosmetics, so you can upgrade at your own pace, which I really appreciate. I hope they can keep up that momentum and fix a lot of this game's quality of life issues. Battle pass progression is pretty fair for how short the missions are, but you really can't feel yourself getting stronger. At least not until you level up your perks. Not those perks. You earn perks by picking up those aforementioned scattered files, which you can't read, game. You have to pick up the files and extract without dying. Once you've extracted with your files, they become points you can spend on perks in the research tab. The perks, unlike in Control, are pretty interesting. Instead of boring stat boosts, you get stuff like more grenades, quicker sprint, and stronger melee, which you'll need. When you level up your perks, you can actually share their status effects with the entire team at the cost of an extra slot. Base customization is good enough that I didn't feel the need to buy anything else. Once you create a party, public matchmaking is on by default and the game boots you back to the lobby screen while it creates your party. You have to tab back in and press P to create a private lobby and then kick whatever fucker joined your party for the 0.7 seconds that you had it open. It's not intuitive, and it's unfair on both ends. I shot this footage on day 2 of Firebreak being out. It reminds me of a shitty relationship because we're wasting our time looking for our third. The foundation of FBC Firebreak is great, but there are so many basic things missing that it's just hard to make suggestions. It honestly gives me the same feeling that Payday 3 did at launch, but it's performing worse than that game somehow.
If I leave, I think it'll leave you in here and then I can rejoin.
Fuck you, Cortez. This really could have been something. And I'm not mad at Remedy for creating this. I'm mad that this has to exist as a live service flop. Every game can't be Fortnite. I open this video game and I can't decide if I want to go back to Control or Elden Ring Night Reign. FBC Firebreak has potential, but you and I know that potential isn't worth $40. The attention to detail here is phenomenal. The way the enemies just fall over like Peter Griffin. The way you can line up your shots and hit multiple enemies in a row. There's a fun game here, but it's buried under a layer of nothing. The worst thing about this game is how uninteresting it is. I never expected to think this about a Remedy title. This game could have gone in so many other directions. How are the short missions so short and the longer missions tedious? They make it feel so good to shoot, but sprinting and melee just feel underdeveloped. Despite the fact that they placed this rake down and stepped on it, I don't want this failure to be a blemish on Remedy's reputation. Because nobody wins forever. This game has Game Pass and crossplay, so I don't think it's going to die anytime soon. But the Steam charts don't look good, and I don't want to keep playing. Firebreak apparently went into full production in October of last year. They promised more content, and when they added, we'll check back later. If this is what it takes to fund Sam Lake dancing at the Game Awards, I'll buy 10 more of these. I just don't think you should. Because it's...
Oh, no!